My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. If you think the title of this segment is hyperbole, I respectfully ask you to revisit 2015 and 2016 when Nate Silver gave President Trump, a 2% chance to become GOP nominee. I was saying in 2015 in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, and on this YouTube channel that Trump would defeat Clinton if Clinton was the Democratic nominee, and I was 100% right. If you were watching this channel at that time, you were right as well, because very likely you agreed with me. So we were both right. And it was never clickbait, and it was never hyperbole. We saw the writing on the wall. Now, I can't say with certainty that Trump will receive a Nobel Peace Prize. But I can tell you, though, that if President Obama received a Nobel Peace Prize for doing nothing, and for the beginning of his presidency, a presidency that did not bring home soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan, a presidency that resulted in us getting into Yemen. So our involvement in Yemen started with President Obama. So all the quote-unquote progressives who have a big problem with the U.S. and Trump and militarism, they weren't talking, almost certainly they weren't talking about Yemen under President Obama. They also probably weren't talking about the slave auctions that are taking place in Libya right now because Clinton and Obama destroyed Libya. We can go on forever about why President Obama did not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. But if the meeting between Trump and Kim Jong Un of North Korea results, well, first of all, it's unprecedented. So that alone, just being able to have some kind of diplomacy with North Korea, first and foremost, forget about the United States. It keeps the people of South Korea, the Korean people, safe. That's the most important thing. Then, our national interest is not only addressed, but we're safer as a country and we're safer as a world if the meeting works out well. People have stated that President Trump, or that a Trump presidency, I was on CNN International, and the theme of it was, is Trump a menace to the world or like a danger to the world? And I said that he wasn't. Back in, 2016, I was on CNN International. That's on my website. All of the hyperbole I could see through years back, and all of the hyperbole dominates the airwaves now. So people think he's going to get impeached because of Russia, but the alleged Russian collusion. There's zero evidence of that. And they've been spying on him since 2015. The D.N.C. never gave its computer service to the FBI. And BuzzFeed is suing the D.N.C. to corroborate the Steele dossier. And there's no evidence of either the D.N.C. hack, a Steele dossier, and now the Republicans are going after Democrats for FISA abuses. There's an ongoing Clinton email investigation right now in the Department of Justice. And there's an ongoing Clinton Foundation probe. I've been vindicated countless times, whether it's Clinton losing, Trump winning, when I stated that in 2015, an ongoing Clinton Foundation and DOJ probes, investigations right now. The indictments will eventually take place. The fact that the whole Russia nonsense has zero evidence, and I was saying that from day one. I was saying they wiretapped Trump, and that was the case. He was caught within communication when he called Manafort, when he called General Flynn, when he called people, when he spoke to people or communicated with people as they were being surveilled. That is obvious. I can't say that President Trump is going to win the Nobel Peace Prize, although I will say it is a possibility. And it's a possibility if this meeting with Kim Jong Un goes well, or there's something positive that takes place. If you want to talk about denuclearization, could you imagine if Madam President Hillary Clinton presided over this, and I seriously doubt she would have been able to have a meeting with Kim Jong Un, considering that she wanted to ring China with missile defense. That was WikiLeaks published these speech transcripts. Thank you, Julian Assange. Thank you, WikiLeaks. And Susie Dawson has a brilliant article that Elizabeth Voss helped edit. And Susie Dawson spent a long time writing this amazing article, Being Julian Assange. That is below. Please go ahead and share parts 1 and 2. I read as much as I could in the first part, and the second part I read also, but I gave my commentary, some of my commentary on 100% supportive. It's a 20,000 word article, essay, a 20,000 word piece on the smear campaign and the history trying to be basically revisionist history regarding the accomplishments, the achievements, the importance of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks by their detractors. But anyway, let's go ahead. I want you to listen to this. Trump agrees to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un on denuclearization. Could you imagine what would happen if, or how much safer the world would be if North Korea was no longer this rogue nation with a nuclear threat? It would still be a rogue nation. There are concentration camps in North Korea right now. And it's a totalitarian nightmare. But the fact that it wouldn't be a potential nuclear nightmare because of this meeting, the fact that we're talking about denuclearization when people were saying, oh my God, Trump's going to bring us to the brink of nuclear war. Everything they say, every single, I don't even want to use a profanity alert, but maybe I should, just for emphasis. This is a profanity alert for my 7 to 8 minute crowd. If you don't want to hear profanity, please do not watch any longer. Every fucking thing American media says about Donald Trump, the opposite, almost always the opposite takes place. He's not going to be GOP nominee. If you want absurd specificity, those are the words that Nate Silver used, the god of polls, in one of his articles in 538. He is the god of polls. If you want absurd specificity, we give Trump a 2% chance to become GOP Republican nominee. Even I knew he was going to be Republican nominee when I was saying that he was going to defeat Clinton. In fact, it was Huffington. Well, I'll just continue. Everything they say. So he became GOP nominee. They gave Trump an 80% chance of winning. Nate Cohn of the New York Times, 3 days before the election, stated that Clinton had a solid electoral college lead. How did that work out? This was all before the Russia bots influenced impressionable Americans. Every effing thing, every freaking narrative, storyline, marketing blitz, media spin that they pump out, the opposite happens with Trump. So Trump came in as and then like the Russia collusion, the D.N.C hack, all of that never happened. Kim.com has informed everybody of who leaked the D.N.C emails. It was a leak, not a hack. Bill Binney, Adam Carter, the forensicator, Elizabeth Voss, other people have stated, just through the evidence that we have, it couldn't have been a hack. Anyway, and the NSA is only moderately confident in the whole baloney anyway. The NSA knows what kind of underwear you're wearing right now, and they're moderately confident. So they're lying. They're all lying. The whole thing, Adam Schiff was pranked and punked by 2 Russian journalists, Vovan and Lexus, that I interviewed on my channel. And you can hear the Daily Mail has I did a video on it, but the Daily Mail has the actual audio, which is hilarious. Adam Schiff was like, a naked Trump pics? You have that? Oh my God, compromat. They're out of control. Anyway, everything that takes place with Trump, the opposite happens. This is very, very interesting. This is South Korea's national security advisor. And check this out. And when you listen to this gentleman, think about what would take place in a successful meeting. In a successful meeting with Kim Jong Un. President Obama didn't do this. Bush didn't do this. Clinton didn't do this. With Kim Jong Il. If Trump is able to do this, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. That's just a fact. That's just, if the Nobel Peace Prize means anything, Obama won it without even doing anything his first year. This is a monumental achievement. Did you, in your wildest dreams, before I get to the National Security Advisor of South Korea, in your wildest dreams, if you're American, because in my wildest dreams, I could never imagine the United States of America speaking to any representative of North Korea, much less Kim Jong Un. That's almost every American in the United States of America who would never be able to have imagined that up until today or the other day. Most people couldn't imagine the Trump winning. I was stating that in 2015. But anyway, this is South Korea's national security advisor.
Today, I had the privilege of briefing President Trump on my recent visit to Pyongyang, North Korea. I'd like to thank President Trump, the Vice President, and his wonderful national security team, including my close friend, General McMaster. I explained to President Trump that his leadership and his maximum pressure policy, together with international solidarity.
His maximum pressure policy, coupled with international solidarity. So you can say what you like. I mean, the tweets, nobody pays attention. I don't think the tweets were this big foreign policy coup. I don't think that Trump's tweets are taken by the media and spun for ad dollars. I think it was other issues pertaining to Trump and North Korea. And I do think, in my view, I think that Trump and China, the United States and China, devised some kind of understanding that Trump will be a little bit more firm towards North Korea. And that was, so whatever President Trump did, it was with China's blessing, in my view, which is good, which is part of, an overall foreign policy strategy. But let's continue.
Brought us to this juncture. I expressed President Moon Jae-in's personal gratitude for President Trump's leadership. I told President Trump that in our meeting, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un said he is committed to denuclearization. Kim pledged that North Korea will refrain from any further nuclear or missile tests. He understands that the routine joint military exercises between the Republic of Korea and the United States must continue.
So I don't know if I hope the mic is getting all of this, but South Korea's national security advisor is saying that that Kim Jong Un wants to discuss denuclearization, has agreed to end all tests, nuclear tests, and will go ahead and continue. Understands that the United States and South Korea will go ahead and will continue to engage in military drills. This is the context of this is the United States we haven't come to this point. We've never been at this point where Kim Jong Un or Kim Jong Il or we've never been even close to a situation where North Korea would even in a million years think of meeting with us, or that we would even think of meeting with them in a million years. So if President Trump meets Kim Jong Un and it works out well, he does deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. And anybody who says otherwise, anybody who thinks that is hyperbole or some kind of clickbait statement or some kind of ridiculous statement is just a hate-filled, sore loser. It doesn't matter if you voted for Clinton and you think that Trump is the devil. If he achieves something monumental and historic, then he deserves credit. Just like you would give credit to President Obama for not having done anything and still winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Or Clinton. Could you imagine if Clinton did this? They would want to put her on Mount Rushmore. I'll just continue.
And he expressed his eagerness to meet President Trump as soon as possible. President Trump appreciated the briefing and said he would meet Kim Jong Un by May to achieve permanent denuclearization. The Republic of Korea, along with the United States, Japan, and our many partners around the world, remain fully and resolutely committed to the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Along with President Trump, we are optimistic about continuing a diplomatic process to test the possibility of a peaceful resolution. The Republic of Korea, the United States, and our partners stand together in insisting that we not repeat the mistakes of the past, and that the pressure will continue until North Korea matches its words with concrete actions.
All right, so that was a wonderful press conference with South Korea's National Security Advisor. I'll just read you. ABC News. President Donald Trump has agreed to a high-stakes meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un by this May on his nuclear weapons program, South Korea's National Security Advisor announced at the White House Thursday evening. He had briefed the president on a message from Kim earlier in the day. The White House said afterwards that Trump will accept the invitation, and the president treated great progress being made. South Korea's envoy, in recent talks with Kim, the North Korean leader, had expressed an eagerness to meet with Trump as soon as possible. Chung said that Kim told him he was committed to denuclearization, would refrain from any further nuclear or missile tests, and had agreed that U.S.-South Korean joint military exercises the North objects to must continue. This is, quote, I explained to President Trump that his leadership and his maximum pressure policy, together with international solidarity, brought us to this juncture. I expressed President Moon Jae-in's personal gratitude for President Trump's leadership, he said, referring to South Korea's president. So, why aren't people at least giving Trump credit? How does CNN, in one of their articles, likened this to a wrestling match, a WWE wrestling match. They have no shame. They have no shame. But how can they have any shame? How can they go ahead? How can they have to save face. The media said he could never even be GOP nominee. He was Republican nominee, obviously. He won the presidency. They said he would never win. They said that Madam Secretary Hillary Clinton, who had an FBI criminal investigation, let's say she was the subject of an investigation, but it was a conspiracy. They stated that she committed crimes, and she was too stupid to indict. But I will read you South Korea removes President Park. South Korean president removed from office over corruption scandal. So South Korea was able to, one of the most powerful people in the country committed crimes, and she was impeached. She was removed from office. Trump hasn't committed any crimes, although they have rumors and innuendo that say that he did. There's no evidence of anything. But Hillary Clinton actually did commit crimes, and it's said that she's too connected or powerful. President Park was also connected and powerful. Actually, had family who her father was a president of Korea as well. So, and yet the rule of law presided in South Korea. The rule of law will eventually be upheld. There's an ongoing Department of Justice email investigation now, as we speak, as I talk to you about this really groundbreaking, monumental event. All these ridiculous euphemisms. Trump's a fascist. He's he's racist, and all of these things. A fascist, racist, bigot who is maniacal and has his finger on the button and is corrupt beyond belief could not bring the United States of America to the point of meeting Kim Jong Un and talking about denuclearization. But I'm going to go ahead right now. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Let's take a trip down memory lane. What were they saying about Donald Trump and world peace? So theoretically, and I think it's quite possible, if North Korea decides to give up on its nuclear ambitions, Trump has to win the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm just going to read you. Think about slave auctions in Libya. Think about Syria. Think about President Obama calling ISIS the JV team of Al Qaeda. Think about 130 nations we have our special forces in. Think about the fact that Trump increased soldiers, the number of soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq. What else? I mean, well, we can go on forever. Drones, beyond belief. The Nobel Peace Prize. NobelPeacePrize.org. The Nobel Peace Prize for 2009. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided that the Nobel Peace Prize for 2009 is to be awarded to President Barack Obama for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples. Blaming Russia for Clinton's loss isn't very cooperative. But anyway, the committee has attached special importance to Obama's vision of and work for a world without nuclear weapons. Wait a second. But it's Trump who is possibly on the verge of a denuclearization discussion and meeting with Kim Jong Un, and possibly North Korea could go ahead and give up its nuclear program or nuclear ambitions because of this meeting or subsequent meetings. But let's continue. Obama has, as president, created a new climate in international politics. Really? This is before the Arab Spring. This is before ISIS. This is before Syria. This is before Yemen. This is before Libya. This is before Benghazi. This is before special forces everywhere on the planet. This is before droning. multilateral diplomacy has regained a central position, with emphasis on the role that the United Nations and other international institutions can play. Wonder if Trump asked the UN about his Rocket Man tweet, or anything he does. And yet still we're on the verge of something monumental with North Korea. The second that they meet, it will be groundbreaking, paradigm-changing, and a precedent that we should all appreciate. But then again, you can't rely on CNN and MSNBC and the Washington Post and the New York Times to appreciate something good. That's why they can't have good things, like Democrats winning. Well, good things for them. Because, well, it can go on forever. They cheat. They still lose. Dialogue and negotiations are preferred as instruments for resolving even the most difficult international conflicts. Well, that's what Trump is doing. The vision of a free world from nuclear arms has powerfully stimulated disarmament and arms control negotiations. Wait a second. Obama got this in 2009, and its emphasis, the emphasis for the Nobel Peace Prize, is denuclearization. And if Trump is able to achieve that with North Korea, he better get the Nobel Peace Prize. Thanks to Obama's initiative, the USA is now playing a more constructive role in meeting the great climactic challenges the world is confronting. Democracy and human rights are to be strengthened. Tell that to the women who are entering Libya from war-torn nations. Actually consuming contraceptives because they expect to be raped. That's how horrible Libya is now. And when President Obama ousted with NATO bombing Gaddafi, Libya turned into a failed state. So human rights, Berta Cáceres, indigenous rights advocate, women's rights advocate in Honduras, was murdered, assassinated. And before she was assassinated, she condemned Hillary Clinton's role in Honduras and the coup there. But let's not get sidetracked with facts and the unfortunate reality that President Obama did not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, although in 2009 I thought he did. In 2008, I was crying when I voted for him. Tears of joy. I was so happy. 8 years later, and a rigged Democratic primary where Bernie Sanders was cheated, and $200 million was stolen from Bernie Sanders voters. And it's unfortunate that Bernie didn't care, and it's unfortunate that, well, I mean, Democrats, they're completely vile, and they don't care, obviously. But anyway, then the Russian hacking thing is like, that never happened, number one. But number two, to blame Russia, when President Obama wins the Nobel Peace Prize on the notion that he will help reduce the nuclear threat, and he starts with a Russian reset, and then eventually presides over the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium. I'll get to that in a second. An FBI informant means, and they say that the FBI informant stated, oh yeah, this is today. The FBI informant stated, oh yeah, well, that was my, what I heard, and what I can tell you from my experience, the Russian lobbyists were bragging. Then you get this Washington Post report, and he provided no evidence. I believe it's William Campbell or Douglas Campbell. Campbell, I know his last name, the FBI informant. He provided no evidence. There was no evidence. Yeah, he would testify. He was an FBI informant. Oh, he was not credible. The FBI didn't find him credible. Then why did the FBI work with him for years? Years and years. And this is the guy the gentleman that does something heroic and completely exposes Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, their role in the uranium scandal. Then it's spun to, well, it was just his word. Yeah, he's an FBI informant, and guess whose words were taken to start the Russia probe? Two drunk men, not FBI informants, not testifying in Congress. Two drunk men, Alexander Dumbo Downer and George Papadopoulos, drinking at a bar. Do you want to trust two drunk men for anything? I wouldn't. Would you? So two drunk men, George Papadopoulos and Alexander Downer, let's just say that they were drinking. Actually, the New York Times article celebrates the fact that they were drinking a lot. So it's safe to assume they were drunk, or at least inebriated. They wouldn't have been able to drive a car. How's that? And that starts not only a FISA warrant, but the entire Mueller probe. That's the genesis of the Mueller probe. And then they're saying that the FBI informant now, his testimony provided no evidence of quid pro quo. Well, how can you provide evidence when 33,000 emails are deleted? Hello, McFly. 33,000 emails are deleted. For what purpose? Because of yoga? She never did a day of yoga in her life. That was incriminating, and even Rudy Giuliani stated that the public record and the destruction of government records, those were government records. She didn't own. If you take a private server into the post office and you connect it into the government network, and then into the FBI, and you say, well, those are my emails along with classified intelligence. The FBI, the U.S. government, is going to take that server in a second and put you in jail while you await trial. There's no get out of jail free card for you. But anyway, getting on a tangent. So, everything they do, Obama presided over the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity, and yellow cake uranium was shipped out of the country. So, yellow cake, and that, if processed differently, could be used for a nuclear weapon. Yet he wins based on the belief that he's going to be so fantastic in terms of disarmament and arms control. The vision of a world free from nuclear arms has powerfully stimulated disarmament and arms control negotiations. Thanks to Obama's initiative, the USA is now playing a more constructive role in meeting the greater climactic challenges the world is confronting. Democracy and human rights are to be strengthened. Whatever you say. Only very rarely has a person to the same extent as Obama captured the world's attention and given its people hope for a better future. Yes, the people of Libya, of Honduras, of Syria, of the Ukraine, they're a lot more hopeful. His diplomacy is founded up in the concept that those who are to lead the world must do so on the basis of values and attitudes that are shared by the majority of the world's population. Blah, blah, effing blah. How about results? If Trump goes ahead and if this works out, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. You can't expect people who hate Trump to even understand this. They're blinded by rage and hatred. And the rage and the hatred, I know very intelligent people. I'm going to let you know something. I know very intelligent, very good people, beautiful people who hate Trump. And they say, oh, he's so corrupt. He's a criminal. I said, well, can you name a crime? And then they tell me, you just wait. You just wait. Or they don't say anything, and they just say, he's just so corrupt. And they'll, what about Kushner? The loan? Since when is a loan a win? When was anyone saying that someone robbed a bank through a loan? They can't name anything. But you can't expect people who didn't think that Clinton would lose, or that they're just so kind of brainwashed from MSNBC. You can't expect them to give Trump credit, although he deserves credit for getting us to this point right now. I voted for Jill Stein and Bernie Sanders. I didn't vote for Trump. But I can say that he deserves credit for getting us to this point right now. Okay. let's just go ahead really quickly and take a trip down memory lane. We kind of did with the... just go to Google, and we'll just play, we'll do this. I'm just going to type in threat to planet Trump 2016. Oh, this is a fantastic one. I love this so much. Donald Trump is existential threat to America and the world. Meanwhile, he's going to go ahead and talk about denuclearization with North Korea. This is Time magazine. This isn't some blog post someplace. It's Time effing magazine. Donald Trump is an existential threat to America and the world. By invoking a return to an imaginary past. Oh, by the way, no offense to the author at all. I'm just reading this because that's how I do things. By invoking a return to an imaginary past and ignoring reality, Donald Trump... This is not... November 7th, 2016. This is November 7th. This is the day before everyone was like... that Trump won. By invoking a return to an imaginary past and ignoring reality, Donald Trump is putting at risk a sustainable future, not just for America and its economy, but for the very survival of civilization. Oh, shit. Profanity alert. This is a profanity alert. Oh, shit. But for the very survival of civilization. As a citizen, not in my official role as president of a global security institute, I am concerned about what a Trump presidency would mean for our future. No offense to the author. No offense to the author. I'm just reading this Time magazine article to explain the irony or to compare the reality of a Trump presidency, which could lead to a Nobel Peace Prize. Truth matters in the real world. It does not matter as much in reality television. There are very pressing threats to human survival that can only be addressed with clear-eyed realism. Okay. Like actually meeting with Kim Jong Un to talk about denuclearization. Or should we focus on Stormy Daniels? Can I tell you something? I am sure that there are democratic strategists out there that would trade peace or that would trade a denuclearization in the Korean Peninsula, no nukes for North Korea. They would trade that with a tape of Trump and Stormy Daniels, because that's what they're like. That's the type of people we're dealing with. To my amazing subscribers, that's the type of people we're dealing with. You and I might differ here and there on policies, but in terms of knowing the types of political operatives who are really trying to destroy the country, we know who they are. They're the people who would rather have a Stormy Daniels tape with Trump than a nuclear-free North Korea. Here are two issues that can affect every person on the planet. Recognize no borders. Okay, climate change. Okay, so climate change, I voted for Jill Stein and the Jamu Baraka, and the Green Party has a green economy circled on a date. I believe it's like 30 years from now. Circled on the date, 20 plus years from now, something like that. Circled on a date. Okay, Democrats, they don't give a crap. They're like, well, we're better than Republicans. They're, rolling back regulations. That's okay. I can understand why you wouldn't want that if you're an environmentalist or you're worried about climate change. But if you literally think it's an existential threat to the nation, to the world, where's the future? Where's the calendar with a date circled of a green economy? Of an economy that's not a threat to the planet. Democrats don't have that. Fracking boomed under President Obama. And fracking is a disgusting, dangerous endeavor. But anyway, we don't go into that. Nuclear weapons. This directly relates to President Trump possibly winning the Nobel Peace Prize if he can go ahead and get this done. There are more than 15,000 nuclear bombs in the world. Only 9 nations have them. If less than 1% were to explode, throwing tons of debris into the stratosphere, the Earth's agricultural capacity will be so adversely impacted that we would starve. Trump, rather than showing a clear understanding of this threat, has suggested proliferating nuclear weapons to Japan and South Korea. Hillary Clinton recognizes these real issues and focuses on their human consequences. For Clinton, not the author. Especially their immediate impact on women and children. Nah, she doesn't care about women and children. Just ask any woman or child in Libya. She also recognizes that we have or Haiti. Where's the $10 billion from Haiti? Does anyone know? How do you lose $10 billion? Have you ever lost $20? What if you lost a $100 bill? I'd be pissed. I can afford it. I'm sure you can too. But if you lost $100, you'd be pissed. We'd all be pissed. It doesn't matter if you and I were a millionaire. If we lost a couple $100 just lying around, we'd still be pissed. Why would you lose a couple $100? You serious? You just no. You don't want to lose that. It doesn't matter how much money you have. $10 billion? How do you lose $10 billion? Where did the money go? They raised the money through subsidiary charities or charities linked to the Clinton Foundation. Bill and Hillary raised $10 million. Only 3% went to projects. 3%. 3%. Clinton also recognizes that we have a duty to future generations. In this election cycle, which has been filled with ugly name-calling, she has not always put forward programs to adequately address these existential threats, but is she capable of addressing them? Absolutely. Absolutely, with Robert Kagan and Bill Kristol and neoconservatives and a Syrian no-fly zone. Well, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed, old Hillary. You know, she was too stupid to indict, and she wanted a no-fly zone. The problem is ISIS doesn't have jets. So she wanted a no-fly zone in Syria. And guess who else is flying in the skies of Syria? Oh, I don't know, the Russian Air Force. You shoot down a MiG, U.S. and bad news. Talk about nuclear weapons. But we won't get into Clinton's foreign policy. And then Democrats are still blaming Russia without any evidence, which is hilarious. This election will affect generations to come. We should consider their interests too. Well, I think that future generations will be very happy that Trump met with Kim Jong Un for denuclearization and to ensure that North Korea doesn't have nuclear weapons anymore. That's pretty good. You're welcome, future generations. You're welcome. Don't thank me, thank Trump. This election will affect generations to come. We should consider their interests too. Trump seems incapable of remembering a policy he suggested a few days ago and readily contradicts himself. Can we expect him to champion policies for a sustainable tomorrow? Entertainment like dessert in reasonable amounts will not cause much harm, but driving a real car on a real road with an imaginary map will lead to catastrophe. This is no offense to the author, with all due respect to the author. To be published in time is a great, great thing. You can always go back to Nate Silver giving Trump a 2% chance for GOP nominee. Doesn't matter what your prediction was or what you wrote. Just always go ahead. Oh, okay. Donald Trump president. Disaster for the planet. Disaster. Ugh. Okay. Okay, let's just put... Hillary Clinton is prepared for the nuclear threat. Election 2016 and the growing nuclear threat. Okay, Trump could face a nuclear decision soon. So, but there's so many others. If you go to Google, just Trump 2016 danger. Oh, this is a good one. The clear and present danger of Donald Trump. It's like they ran out of different ways to say it. July 22nd, 2016, Washington Post. Donald Trump is a unique threat to American democracy. September 30th, 2016, the clear and present danger of Donald Trump. February 28th, 2016, Donald Trump is remarkably dangerous to the Republican Party. The New York Times, the dangers of Donald Trump. This is so awesome. New York Times, the biggest danger for Donald Trump. New York Times, is Donald Trump a threat to democracy? So, the U.S. elected its most dangerous leader. Oh, The Guardian. This is no offense to the author. No offense. This is a fantastic article. No offense to the author. Thank you for lasting this long. My God. You spent 46 minutes listening to me. I really appreciate it. I fixed my computer, by the way. So I don't think I can actually go even longer. The U.S. has elected its most dangerous leader. We all have plenty to fear. Really? But the most dangerous leader was Clinton, but the people of America have stepped into the abyss. The new president-elect is an unstable bigot, sexual predator, and compulsive liar. He's capable of anything. Well, that's not so nice. Sexual predator? Is he confusing Trump with Bill Clinton? Unstable bigot? Clinton said she survived Bosnian sniper fire and called black youth super predators. You combine that, that's the definition of unstable bigot. But let's continue. This is November 9th. This is the day after the world crashed on every quote-unquote liberal on the planet. This is fantastic. This is in The Guardian. No disrespect to... We thought the United States would step back from the abyss. We believed, and the polls led us to feel sure that Americans would not, in the end, hand the most powerful office on earth to an unstable bigot, sexual predator, and compulsive liar. He forgot Satan. He forgot, Satan, Manson, baby seal killer. He forgot all of these things. But I'm sure it's later on in the article. People all around the world had watched and waited through the consecutive horrors of the 2016 election campaign, believing the Trump nightmare would eventually pass. What? The Trump nightmare would pass? This is like Nightmare on Elm Street? This isn't a horror movie. It's the United States election. Well, I guess it is a horror movie. But today, the United States, the country that had from its birth from England. This is The Guardian, which is hilarious. We had to cut the cord from England, if you remember. Just read a history book. From its birth, seen itself as a beacon that would inspire the world, a society that praised itself on the last best hope of earth, a nation that had seemed to be bending the arc of history towards justice. As Barack Obama so memorably put it on this same morning 8 years ago, has stepped into the abyss. We didn't step into the abyss when Obama destroyed Libya. No. Today, the United States stands on not as a source of inspiration to the rest of the world, but as a source of fear. Instead of hailing its first female president, it seems poised to hand awesome power of its highest post to a man who revels in his own ignorance, racism, and misogyny. Oh my God. One who knows him well describes him as a dangerous sociopath. Who is this one who knows him well? Well, he'll be anonymous. Who is this one that knows him well? Okay, some guy that we've never heard of. Great. And what awesome power he will soon have. Republicans do not just defy almost every prediction, and data-rich computer model to win the presidency. If you survived this YouTube segment for this long, I can only tell you that I love you. And thank you so much for continuing to listen. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for never-ending H.A. Goodman banter, babbling, nonstop. I just want to thank you. I'll try to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. Okay. Just think of what he promised. A deportation force to round up and expel the 11 million undocumented migrants. That never happened. A ban on all Muslims entering the country. That never happened. Saudi Arabia was not part of the ban. A giant wall to seal off the Mexican border. That might happen. He believes climate change is a hoax perpetuated by the Chinese. Actually, I can tell you that very likely Trump doesn't. Trump actually does believe in climate change, but he's probably, because he was a Democrat most of his life. All right, give me your thoughts below. I mean, you could just... Donald Trump is a risk we can't take, CNN. Washington Post editorial calls Donald Trump a unique danger. Trump is a dangerous president. This is Der Spiegel. November 8th, he was elected. November 13th, they write, Donald Trump is a dangerous president. He wasn't even sworn in yet. All right. How President... Oh, this is interesting. Forbes article. How President Trump could actually reduce the danger of war. Well, that's a prescient article. One of the very few. Very few. A psychologist analyzes Donald Trump's personality. Don't you love that they would analyze Trump's personality, but not Hillary Clinton's, when she actually stated, yeah, I survived Bosnian sniper fire, and that never happened. And she said that she deleted 30,000 emails about yoga and that she used a private server for convenience. Why? Where is the armchair psychoanalysis? Donald Trump is a danger to the world, says UN human rights chief. Okay. The dangerous acceptance of Donald Trump. So I'm reading this as... Market Watch, the danger to your portfolio from a Trump win is huge. Not. The market went up the past year, over a year. All right, give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I just want to thank you for lasting this long with me. The point is this. The point is when you go ahead and you continually, as a country, well, I should say, when the media colludes with a political party, you're not going to get reality. You're going to get what the political party wants you to know or wants you to hear or to see. The Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, and pathetic, worthless YouTube channels and other mediums when they repeat the same talking points that the DNC wants you to hear, you get this brainwashed mentality. Donald Trump's a threat to the planet. Oh my God, we're going to all die. He's crazy. They're projecting. That's just their inability to understand someone's personality. They would rather have a cold, calculated killer. They would rather have someone who just, President Obama's, it was just a mistake, Libya. JV, ISIS, JV team. They're okay with that as long as it's packaged in a diplomatic, eloquent manner. They don't want somebody who tweets a lot but could potentially discuss denuclearization with Kim Jong Un and make the world a great deal safer if North Korea gives up its nuclear weapons. So, me harping on this for almost an hour, it's important to underscore, to highlight, to remember what people were saying about Trump and what the reality is. The economy is doing well, better than expected. Yes, Trump is doubling down in Yemen, but he doesn't have a no-fly zone in Syria, and he hasn't gotten us into a quagmire. And he is infinitely less hawkish than Clinton would have been. We can go on forever, but the main thing is this. If he is successful with Kim Jong Un, and if North Korea actually goes ahead and gives up its nuclear ambitions, there's a very, very good possibility that Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize. And that would be just the biggest FU to the Democratic Party and the media machine in the United States of America. And they would find some way to say he didn't deserve it, even though any president, Republican or Democrat, if they weren't named Trump, would have won. People would lobby for them to win the Nobel Peace Prize if this took place. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Yes, President Trump could win the Nobel Peace Prize, and very likely will win the Nobel Peace Prize if he's successful in North Korean denuclearization. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. If you lasted this long, it's an important segment. Please share it everywhere, because part of breaking groupthink is being able to think beyond the paradigm. And Trump winning the Nobel Peace Prize is definitely breaking a paradigm. If he deserves it, then he deserves it. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Hit subscribe. Make sure you get all the notifications. Click the notifications bell, and make sure you get all the notifications. Thank you so much for listening.